Yeah. Hair flip. Yeah, I'm a badass bitch. I don't like it. Hair flip. Yeah. Oh my god. So you guys should be happy. Oh my goodness. Hair flip. But anyways, hair flip. And hair flipping on your toes. Hi.
He returned in nothing but a robe with the front open, and he was buck naked.
I said no a million times.
He was in the bathtub. He attempted to convince me to get naked.
Tonight, we're going inside the scandal that has rocked Hollywood. A growing chorus of women speaking out with harrowing allegations of sexual harassment, some even claiming rape by one of the most powerful men in Hollywood, Harvey Weinstein.
Harvey Weinstein. During his career as a film producer, Harvey Weinstein, formerly of Miramax Films and the Weinstein Company, exploited his influential position to commit criminal sexual acts, including rape. In October 2017, the New York Times and the New Yorker reported that dozens of women had accused Harvey Weinstein of rape, sexual assault, and sexual abuse over a period of at least 30 years. Over 80 women, now over 100 women, in the film industry had accused Weinstein of such acts. Harvey Weinstein has a lot of accusers. Over 100. A lot of actresses you know, some of them aren't, they're behind the camera, and all of them have a story to tell, and a lot of their stories relate to one another. They have a lot in common. So we will get into them. This is just part 1, and we will get into a lot of other actresses in part 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever it takes to get this story out. Without further ado, let's get into Harvey Weinstein's victims. Mimi Haleyi, who formerly worked as a production assistant on Weinstein Company television series, is the latest woman to come forward with a sexual assault allegation against Harvey Weinstein, accusing the fallen mogul of forcing himself onto her in 2006, while she was on her period. Along with her attorney, Gloria Allred, Haleyi disclosed on Tuesday afternoon at a New York City press conference extremely graphic details of her multiple interactions with Weinstein. Haleyi says she was first introduced to Weinstein at a European premiere of The Aviator in 2004. She was in her 20s. Though she declined to reveal her age exact at the time, she later saw Weinstein for the second time at the Cannes Film Festival. I will let Mimi speak for herself.
I was first introduced to Harvey Weinstein at the European premiere of The Aviator in 2004. I then ran into him again at the Cannes Film Festival in 2006. At that time, I was planning to spend some time in New York, so I asked Harvey if I could help on any of the productions that any of his productions there. He said, "Why don't you come and see me at my hotel and we'll talk about it." So one afternoon, I went over to the hotel in Cannes where the Weinstein Company was set up for the festival. I was escorted up to Harvey's room by an assistant, who then left. After a few minutes of greetings and normal conversation, Harvey suddenly asked me if I'd give him a massage. I said, no, sorry, I'm not a masseuse, and I suggested he contact hotel reception with his request. He kept asking about massages, and so I felt the meeting was going nowhere, and I left. By that time, I was crying, as I felt completely humiliated and stupid for having been excited about meeting with him. To my surprise, Harvey did get in touch and told me he would arrange for me to go and help on the set of a TV show that the Weinstein Company was producing in New York. I accepted. I then didn't see or speak to Harvey until after the show finished shooting, at which point I sent him an email thanking him for the opportunity. He said he'd had excellent feedback about me and I was welcome back the following season. He suggested we meet in the Mercer Hotel lobby for a chat. So I went to meet him at the Mercer in New York, and on this occasion he was a complete gentleman and completely charming. A couple of days later, I saw him again at the Weinstein Company offices in Tribeca, where I went to pick up something from another producer. On this occasion, we had a normal conversation. He told me about his various projects, like The Film Factory Girl and his plans to revive Halston, the 1970s fashion house. He also he lent me a book to read, Tender is the Night by F. Scott Fitzgerald, before giving me a ride home with his assistant. He then told me he was going to the couture shows in Paris in a couple of days and asked if I'd like to come along. He said we would fly in a private jet, stay at the Ritz, and go to some fashion shows. I declined, as it seemed like an invitation of a romantic nature. He didn't like that answer. He kept messaging and calling me and even showed up at the apartment where I was staying in the East Village twice in one day. Literally, physically forced himself into the door, pleading with me to come with him to Paris. I found him overwhelming to deal with, and I didn't know how to shut it down, so I finally said, I'm not coming to Paris with you, and I hear you have a terrible reputation with women. That's when he backed off. I had made it clear I did not have any romantic interest in him. He got in touch with me again when we got back from Paris. When he got back from Paris, sorry. And he asked me to come and meet him at his home in Soho. I agreed, as I wanted to maintain a good relationship with him. He sent his driver to pick me up. There was a New York Post in the back seat with a picture of Harvey with his then girlfriend named by the driver, where Harvey greeted me. The television was on, and we watched for a short time. It was not long, though, before he was all over me making sexual advances. I told him no, 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 but he insisted. And then I said, I'm on my period. There is no way this is going to happen. Please stop. He wouldn't take no for an answer, and backed me into a room which was not lit, but looked like a kid's bedroom with his drawings on the wall. He held me down on the bed. I tried to get away, or tried to get him off of me, and kept asking him to stop, but it was impossible. He was extremely persistent and physically overpowering. He then orally forced himself on me while I was on my period. He even pulled my tampon out. I was mortified. I was in disbelief and disgusted. I would not have wanted anyone to do that to me, even if the person had been a romantic partner. I remember Harvey afterwards rolling over onto his back saying, "Don't you feel we're so much closer to each other now?" To which I replied, "No." I decided to share my experience today in support of all the other women that have come forward, and all women everywhere who have been subjected to any type of sexual harassment or sexual assault.
Lysette Anthony. A quote from her. After a long day of interviews, I, a teenager, was handed over in a hotel lobby to a considerably older stranger. As though I was a gift, I was abandoned to fend for myself Instead of sitting down for an interview, I was taken on a touristy horse-drawn carriage ride through Central Park. I still remember the publicist's parting words that it would be good for me. That stranger turned out to be Harvey Weinstein. It was very uncomfortable, but I wanted to be polite. So as the carriage made its way through the park, I pleaded jet lag and insisted on being taken back to my hotel. He gracefully obliged, and we stayed in touch and actually became friends over the next few years. Once again, I will let Lysette speak for herself.
And has prayed and just destroyed people. I still have nightmares. I have nightmares of sort of mounds of white, revolting flesh and skin with paws like bloody black volcanoes, sort of stuffed with crusted pus, and that's the sort of language you should use. So if that's someone's idea of a relationship, well, it certainly isn't mine. I had started work when I was 16. I'd bought my first flat. I had met someone I was madly in love with, who I then married. And I had amazing friends, and we had fun. I was sent out on my own to do a big press launch, and that's when I was made to go and have dinner with Harvey Weinstein.
And how old would you have been then?
I'm terrible. I'm actually slightly dyslexic and I get really muddled, but I would have been about, I think I was 18 or 19, something around then.
And when you say you were made to go and have dinner with him,
well, this is a really, really weird story, and I was there to do a press junket and meet journalists. Harvey was at that point a rock journalist, nothing to do with the film industry, nothing to do with our industry whatsoever. And I was literally handed over in the lobby and told, you have to have dinner with this man. And outside was one of those ghastly horses and carriages. It's like clearly being positioned on a date. And I got in and he talked and talked and talked, told me that he wanted to get into the film industry, that he and his brother were setting up this company named after his parents, and that his big dream was to do a musical with Barry Manilow. Yep. And then we got to the end on the park, and I just thought, no, this all feels a bit weird. So I said, I'm sorry, and we went back, and we must have exchanged numbers because that was the last time. The next time I remember was meeting him in London, but it's only years later I've just realised when all of this stuff is having to put all the piece it together for myself more than anybody else, and just go, oh my God, how dare that woman hand me over to that man? I was a child. What the hell was...
This man you described as a friend, when did that change significantly?
I have this memory of one morning in my little basement flat, just suddenly seeing this, he's always fat lump of a man stumbling down my very steep little steps. And after that, it's like I'm behind my own head, if that makes any sense. I see it from the end of the corridor. He knocked on the door. It was in the morning. He had a dressing gown on. He pushed me against my coat rack, and he raped me. I just, he was heavy and fat, and just trying to get him off and just giving up. And that's that bit. But that was the easy bit. That's what came next, and that's the bit I've not talked about. I've obviously, with all of this and making this decision to fight him, people would describe me as someone who certainly talks a lot, but is always, I've never been shy of sharing or telling what's happened, or just being communicative, but I've never ever spoken of this because the shame. And I've thought about this a lot in terms of, I think there's a type with all these 80+ women that we are all basically nice, kind of middle-class girls. And the thing about nice middle-class girls, we're taught that we're in control. I remember Mother Superior saying, "You hold the reins." I made myself laugh the other day, and I thought, you know, moral of the story is don't take sex education from the woman dressed as a crow. But anyway,
This is at the convent.
this is at the convent, yeah. And girls like me, the girl I was, the only way you can process something like that is just, if it's your fault, then you can correct it. It takes the control back, but of course it doesn't.
Just the event itself, you say, you know, you gave up fighting. You knew him. It's perhaps a ludicrous question. Were you frightened at that stage?
I was just
or
flattened.
confused, or...
Do you know, it's funny because I would really like to use language that we can't use on for obvious, you know, reasons. But you know, this isn't about sex. This is about domination and control. This is a man who, if he wanted to have, well, basically could have bought anything even by that point. Could have had women who would gladly have done anything, other than the one thing that's quite tricky, especially as you get more and more famous, is to find someone who's really frightened of you. That's a particular niche desire. You can't buy it, and you certainly can't fake it. And he likes, I went from, if you see pictures, from being, I can say that now, I'm 56, this very beautiful, sweet thing, into I got fatter and I just used food just to shove it down, because that's when it started, and it was a horror. It was a horror. He just wouldn't leave me alone.
Lupita details Harvey Weinstein's advances towards her. "I felt unsafe." Lupita has come forward about her encounters with Harvey Weinstein in an op-ed in New York Times, writing that not only did Weinstein attempt to ply her with alcohol when she met him at a restaurant, but after they moved the meeting to his home to watch a film screening. Tried to give her a massage. At a later meeting, the Oscar-winning actress wrote Weinstein propositioned her in a hotel restaurant. According to Lupita, she met with Weinstein for the second time after having initially met him in 2011 at an awards ceremony in Berlin while she was still in school at Yale. When he asked her to attend a screening at his home after sharing lunch at a restaurant, when she arrived at the restaurant in Westport where Weinstein lived, Lupita described Weinstein ordering her a vodka soda and insisting that she drink it.
Harvey Weinstein scandal, a searing account from Lupita Nyong'o.
He wanted to take off his pants. I told him not to do that.
It still makes me cry.
She says she feared her future could be in jeopardy.
Weinstein is a vicious sexual predator.
You know that feeling of dread as the roller coaster goes up? I was so uncomfortable.
He told me not to be so naive. If I wanted to be an actress, then I had to be willing to do this sort of
sexual situation, not once, but twice.
Lupita tells the New York Times she first met the producer in 2011, 3 years before winning an Oscar for 12 Years a Slave. Not long after, she says Weinstein invited her to his home to watch a film. Once there, she claims Weinstein led her into a bedroom and offered to give her a massage. She declined, quote, "I thought he was joking at first. He was not. For the first time since I met him, I felt unsafe." Lupita says that to get out of the situation, she offered to give him a massage instead. When Weinstein informed her that he wanted to remove his pants, she left. Another time at dinner, she says Weinstein told her, "Let's cut to the chase. I have a private room upstairs where we can have the rest of our meal." She also declined that offer. The producer, who is currently in treatment for sex addiction, said through a spokesperson, Mr. Weinstein has a different recollection of the events, but believes Lupita is a brilliant actress and a major force for the industry.
Argento gives a powerful speech at Cannes when she quotes, "In 1997, I was raped by Harvey Weinstein." Italian actress Argento was one of the first women to publicly accuse Harvey Weinstein of sexual assault when she told the New Yorker last year that the powerful Hollywood producer forcibly performed oral sex on her in a French hotel during the 1997 Cannes Film Festival when she was only 21 years old. Argento, now 42, says she didn't tell anyone because she feared the producer would destroy her career. Her quote, "I know he has a crush on a lot of people," Argento told the magazine. "That's why this story, in my case, it's 20 years old. Some of them are older, has never come out and will never come out." She characterized coming forward as a terrifying experience. Her quote, "Just talking to you about it, my whole body is shaking," she said.
Argento speaks out to Daily Mail TV in her very first interview since his shocking suicide. Senior correspondent Laura Collins has her emotional interview that you'll only see here.
They said I murdered him. People say I killed him.
Asia Argento is reacting to the hateful comments and social media trolling she endured after the suicide death of her partner, Anthony Bourdain.
I understand that the world needs to find a reason. I would like to find that reason too. He was so deeply loved.
There were allegations that you had not been faithful to Anthony, and of course people jumped on this.
People need to think that he killed himself for something like this. He had cheated on me too. It wasn't a problem with us. He was a man who traveled 265 days a year. When we saw each other, we took really great pleasure in each other's presence, but we are not children. I cannot think of Anthony as somebody who would do an extreme gesture like this for something like that. What I do feel terrible about is that he had so much pain inside of him, and I didn't see it. I did not see it, and for that I will feel guilty for the rest of my life.
Tell me, how did you learn about what had happened?
I received a phone call from his manager, and it was very quick. He just told me Anthony took his life, and I couldn't speak. I couldn't cry, and then I started screaming. It felt like I was in the abyss.
Argento says anger helped her get out of that.
So here's the thing. Asia Argento was with Andrew Bourdain, who passed away, unfortunately, of suicide. But here's the thing again. She also has a victim of her own. Asia slept with a 17-year-old inside of a hotel that she known since a child. She had placed him in movies of hers that she directed and produced, and has known him since he was at least 4 to 5 years old. So when he turned 17, she decided to have sex with him in the state of California, which is illegal. The state of California acknowledges the age of consent at the age of 18 years old, not under it. She thought that obviously she was in the green zone and was able to sleep with this minor teenager and got caught.
Revelations about Weinstein last October, she reportedly quietly arranged to pay her own accuser. Jimmy Bennett, a young actor and rock musician, claims he was sexually assaulted by Argento in a California hotel room when he was just 17 years old. She was 37 at the time. The age of consent in California is 18. Overnight, shocking new allegations against one of the Me Too movement's most prominent voices. The New York Times reporting Italian actress and director Asia Argento, the former girlfriend of Anthony Bourdain, arranged to pay $380,000 to Jimmy Bennett after the actor claimed he was sexually assaulted in a California hotel room in 2013 when he was just 17. The payment arrangement allegedly made not long after Argento herself publicly accused Hollywood producer Harvey Weinstein of rape and sexual assault. The new claim, detailed in documents sent to the Times through encrypted email, says Argento was both a mentor and a mother figure to Bennett, and the two were intermittently in contact as he grew up. Bennett, now 22, began acting at age 6. He was cast at age 7 to play Argento's son in the 2004 film The Heart is Deceitful Above All Things.
You will not trash this house!
The documents, characterized by the Times as a legal agreement between lawyers, describe Bennett's version of the encounter. They have not been seen or verified independently by NBC News. On May 9, 2013, Bennett says he arrived at the hotel with a family member for a reunion with Argento. After asking the family member to leave so she could be alone with the actor, Bennett says Argento gave him alcohol and a series of notes she had written to him on hotel stationery. The documents say Argento then kissed Bennett, removing his pants and performing oral sex before having sex with him. Later that day, she posted to Instagram, "Happiest day of my life, reunion with Jimmy Bennett." The two had lunch, but later, Bennett began feeling, quote, extremely confused, mortified, and disgusted. According to the New York Times, in an April letter addressed to Argento confirming the final deal, the payment is characterized as, quote, helping Mr. Bennett. Argento became a leading voice in the Me Too movement after telling The New Yorker that Weinstein raped her in 1990.
I get hurt people, but I see you ought to be ashamed of yourself. You know how I am. I believe in the truth and, sticking with the truth. What's right is right, what's wrong is wrong. This is completely wrong. You are one of the women that are speaking in this Me Too movement and has given it credibility by coming forward with your truth, which is extremely brave. But at the same time, you are hurting people in the process. You can't sit out here and sexually assault in a different way. And just because your assault was more so aggressive, you feel as if what you're doing is okay. It's completely not okay. What you did was wrong. That was a 17-year-old minor teenager, basically child, and you took advantage of him. You did the same thing Harvey did to you. You used your power to get sex. You manipulated that child into feeling like having sex with you is okay to further his career. The same thing that happened with Harvey. He raped you in the process of making your career better. Jennifer Lawrence and Harvey Weinstein have a very shaky relationship. You can see the body language with Jennifer Lawrence when she's publicly with Harvey Weinstein. She does not care for him. She's also publicly called him an ass boil that you just can't get rid of.
Speaking of politics and speaking about corruption, you recently were ill-used in the defense of Harvey Weinstein.
Yes.
Okay.
I was. He is just that horrible ass boil that does not go away. You pop the ass boil. He's just the worst. Just when is it going to end? Like in the middle of the night, I had to come up with a statement in London and I was like, it's still not over?
So Jennifer does not like Harvey. You can tell. She's never stated that he sexually assaulted her or anything like that, but somebody else did.
Harvey Weinstein bragged about sleeping with Jennifer Lawrence after another actress rejected his advances. The latest allegation against the film producer emerged in court documents on Friday, with an unnamed woman claiming he forcibly performed oral sex on her. Weinstein has denied all allegations of non-consensual sex. According to the lawsuit, filed in Los Angeles, Weinstein pushed the unnamed actress to the ground during a meeting at his office in 2013, before sexually assaulting her. When she rejected his advances, Weinstein is alleged to have asked, "Do you even want to be an actress?" adding, "I slept with Jennifer Lawrence, and look where she is. She has just won an Oscar." Lawrence issued a statement on Friday, denying she had a sexual relationship with Weinstein. "My heart breaks for all the women who were victimized by Harvey Weinstein. I have never had anything but a professional relationship with him. This is yet another example of the predatory tactics and lies that he engaged in to lure countless women."
Now, with this alleged victim being raped by Harvey Weinstein and she was an actress, she states that before Harvey Weinstein raped her, he told her, "Do you want to be a big actress like Jennifer Lawrence? I had sex with her and look at where she is." Now, I am definitely not going to state that that is not true. I believe, although Jennifer has not come forward and stated anything about Harvey, I believe that he did rape her. Jennifer Lawrence is as big as it gets acting-wise, beautiful woman, and all of a sudden she just kind of leaves the scene of acting. I believe she did that due to allegedly what happened to her throughout her career with Harvey Weinstein. She's worked with him a lot, and she doesn't really have anything nice to say about Harvey besides obvious things, that he's a genius, that he's great at what he does, ... this, ... that. The same thing that other women that have been sexually assaulted by Harvey has stated. No one denies his talent. No one denies that. But the problem is when you use it against people to take advantage of them. It's just not right. Now, this next victim is definitely one of the victims that should mark Harvey Weinstein not ever being able to get out of jail. Here's irrefutable proof that Harvey Weinstein is a predator. Everything about this situation is wrong, from how he touches her, talks to her, and she is also allegedly raped right after these recordings. So pay close attention to the body language and how she's being treated and talked to. And I will see you guys in part 2. Thank you so much for watching.
This is Melissa Thompson. It's September 2011, and the 28-year-old is in the Weinstein Company offices in New York City. She's here to pitch her tech startup company's new video platform, and as part of the demo, she's recording the meeting.
All right, hello, Melissa Thompson.
Melissa has agreed to talk me through it. She's expecting a meeting with the marketing team, but Weinstein arrives alone, asks staff for privacy, and locks the door. She says that a few hours after this, he raped her.
All right, interrupt. All right, hello, Melissa Thompson.
Hello, how are you?
How are you?
Happy New Year.
That's nice. Thanks for that.
How's your day?
How's your day?
I was thinking, okay, he's hugging me. What do I do now?
Flesh,